I'm Greg Whitstock, the Pond Guy, founder of Aquascape Inc., and this is my podcast. I love my job, and here's how you can too. Good morning, mate.
Good morning. G'day, mate.
There you go. So, Dan, thanks for jumping on here. Did they tell you why I wanted to talk to you?
No.
What do you assume it's for?
Just having a chat. Maybe about
Why not?
Africa.
Africa.
Yeah,
Did you go 2 or 3 times to Africa?
just two. Yeah.
Yeah. So you and Patrick, and did Kai go both times?
Yep. And Caleb.
And Caleb. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, the Aussies were definitely relied on by, to help pull off that Africa project.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. It was, definitely a trip of a lifetime. And I mean, we all knew what had to be done, so we worked bloody hard for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as a 10-hour day in Africa when you're under the time crunch, but glad that you were able to make it. Because you made it for the last two times.
No, the second last and then the last. Yeah, there was one in between.
Yeah. So
Sorry, the third last, and then the last. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least you got to see it running, and then with all the plants.
Yeah, and I got to be the first person in as well, actually.
That was hilarious when I saw that video because I thought it was Ed, because you were jumping off the rock in front of the big waterfalls. You guys go to the same barber.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how is Ed talking and so far away? I'm like, wait a minute, that's Taylor.
Yeah, no, it was cold. It was bloody cold, I'll tell you that. But yeah, it had to be done.
How do you describe the Africa project to guys that weren't there?
It's just like everything on steroids, I think. It's all just like bigger. Everything was bigger. The trees were bigger, the rocks were bigger, the machinery was bigger. It was just the straps were bigger. Like, geez, some of the straps would have been, 200 mil. What's that, like 8 inches kind of thing?
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, everything was huge. But there was all at the same time. It was just, you had to. I don't know. There was a lot of people around, so there was a lot of workers that they had there. So trying to, keep things busy and flowing without getting flustered that there's so many people around, because a lot of them are just looking for things to do and looking for direction. So you need to be able to kind of direct them a little bit as well without getting too frustrated with certain things, which was, I found quite easy. But there was just so many challenges as well that you just don't, many times, especially if there's a bit of a crunch on, you could get a little bit overwhelmed by it. But it's just trying to just keep you cool a little bit and yeah, just assess each thing as it comes. And I think we all did really well at that. So,
Well, too bad you had a hot-headed leader that is always going off on people.
not at all. It was awesome. But I mean, I'm used to working with me and one other bloke. So to go from that to having hundreds of guys on site is just like, what is going on? So it was
that
very different.
That is the perfect team lead for a project like that.
Yeah. Oh man, Ed was just so cool-headed. Nothing was too much. Nothing got him flustered. Always had that smile on his face. Even when issues came up, he would just, all right, what do we do? So it was great.
Yep. Well, I taught him everything he knows.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did.
And then he did the polar opposite, and he's Gandhi. So well,
That's
Mr. Taylor, it's good to see your face. Really appreciate your help in Africa, and always just being a great representative of Aquascape. And I have the honor of telling you that you are the winner of the Chris Baker Spirit Award.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
I had no idea. Wow, geez.
It's super cool because
Jeez.
it is because, Ed and I were talking, and I talked to, a couple other people, and, there were obviously multiple candidates for this, but your effort, your energy, your spirit of adventure, your personality, all of these things just jive with the great man, Chris Baker, that we lost 4 years ago. So you are the 4th recipient of the Chris Baker Spirit Award, which is just honoring his zest for life. And when I think of Dan Taylor, when Ed thinks of Dan Taylor, when we think of Dan Taylor, we think of a dude that's incredibly talented, travels the world and has a zest for life, all of things that Chris Baker did. So congratulations, Dan Taylor, the Chris Baker Spirit Award winner.
Oh man, thank you. You're bringing a tear to my eye. Like honestly, I didn't know the guy, but everything I've heard from everybody is just what a great guy he was. So and how
I,
much fun he was to have around. So
I thought maybe this will be interesting because it's perfectly fine. But I'm like, I wonder if Dan had ever met, being from Australia, him being from the States via England, obviously Dan Upshur, last year's winner, got to know him pretty well as another English bloke. But I'm like, eventually people aren't going to know who he was. But this is the whole point of giving
yeah,
this award because you represent his spirit. You have the same energy. You are an interesting cat. He's an interesting cat. Uh,
yeah.
and so this is, even though you never got a chance to meet him, you guys have very similar bents and personalities, and so that's why we picked you, Dan, to represent the Chris Baker Spirit Award. Congratulations.
Wow. Thanks, Greg, and thanks all you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. It was wow. I don't know what to say. It's just yeah, it's always fun. I love doing what we're doing, and I guess it shows in having fun while we're doing it because I certainly I was landscaping for so long before this, and I was ready to just give it all up and go do something else. I was so over it, so I certainly wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for Aquascape and you guys. I'd probably would have had a
Well,
career
this is
change.
good. This is good. Tell us a little bit about your story because even including Patrick and how he's been a mentor to you, and he's so proud. I mean, you're a Aussie winner of the artist of what year did you win the Aussie Artist of the Year?
2023.
Okay, so 2 years ago, you won the Aussie Artist of the Year, which was a super proud moment for Patrick, who basically, got so. Give him your background and your story, because people that don't know, Dan Taylor, the Chris Baker Spirit Award winner, and 2023 Aussie, Artist of the Year winner, just love because it's an inspiring journey that you've been on.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I never really wanted to get into this. I never had I was just looking for a job. Started out as a builder's laborer, went into landscaping, did that for like 12 years before I even started. And it was on and off. Like I went to university for music and stuff and it was just a way to earn money. So that's what landscaping always was to me, just earn money while I'm doing my music and stuff and playing drums in different bands. And then when I was ready to, go back to teaching drums or something. I'd been landscaping and was just over doing the same old landscaping stuff. And then got on board with Patrick and Mitch and
When was that? What year was that?
2016.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they kind of needed someone else. And Mitch was like, listen, we need someone that's got some landscape experience. And I was like, oh, yeah, water features. That sounds cool. I've seen some of what you do. That sounds fun. I can come do that for a little bit, see how it goes. And yeah, once I started with those two, it just caught on a bit, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I could keep doing this for a while. It's just so rewarding, turning it on at the end and having the client satisfaction and the satisfaction yourself. And just Mitch as well was very creative, just and Patrick as well, giving you free reign to kind of really use that creative side, which is we're musos and stuff, and so that artistic creative
Yeah.
side just runs through our veins. So just having
And
that
I, and I
that.
and I don't know if you know this, but Chris Baker was a bass player.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. All right, okay. But yeah, so then after working with Pat for so long, it was what 4 years or so with him, and then going through we built Woodford and stuff together, and then
Hmm.
he was the one pushing me, and I was just still playing in bands and going, oh no, I don't really want to do it. I just want to go to work and not think about it and go home
Yeah.
and then he's like, Dan, all these other guys around here that we're training up in Australia, they're out there, they're doing it, and you're just still here. You need to get out there and do your own thing. And he literally just pushed me out there and said, go do your own thing, and I'll still be here. And it helped a lot because I went and did my own jobs here and there, and then came back and was still working for him and doing a lot of his jobs in between until I kind of got on my feet myself and it just happened really organically. Like I didn't have to go out and just find all my work straight away and stress from job to job. And I think the point is that I've always had that going along. I've always had good relationships with every landscaper guy that I left, every employer that I've left. I can always go back and get more work with them if I wanted. If I said, "Hey, I haven't got any work," they'll take me on. I'll go work for them, kind of thing. So that I've still had that with Patrick, and I still go do jobs with Patrick from time to time when I've got time in my schedule. But I mean, I'm getting this year, I think, was the first time I was booked out like 6 months in advance. So like it was that was new for me. Normally it's like, oh geez, I need work in 2 weeks. So I got to get out there and find some work, and it's always come. But yeah, this year is the first year I've been kind of yeah booked in advance in a fair way. So it's yeah, it's going really well. And you know, if it wasn't for guys like Pat, I wouldn't have been doing this. I would have, you know, I don't know where I would have been, but
Well,
yeah,
and you're an
it's
inspiration. You're an inspiration of somebody who worked for a guy and now is six, and he encouraged you, and you're successfully doing it on your own. And you still work together, like Africa, do those two jobs via Aquascape. And you guys, I'm pretty positive you were in Hong Kong too with him last year, right?
oh no, I didn't do that one.
Oh, you
No.
didn't do Kai did that one, huh?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
been pulling back on a lot of the travel just because I've got a young family now as well. So I've got to be selective about when I do and how I do
Smart, smart.
to the
Weren't you pretty much a free spirit like Chris too? Englishman growing up, moving to America. Um, didn't you also live in Japan at one point?
Yeah, I lived in Japan for a year. I went there with like no Japanese and just went there, got a job, and I only had enough money to last 2 weeks. And I was like, I need to get a job in 2 weeks, and I did. So
Well,
I
no.
wanted to put landscaping there, but I couldn't. You know, it was just very hard with the language barrier. I tried so hard to get landscaping work there, but I had ended up in hospitality and teaching English. So
Well, and you were a bartender.
yeah, well, I didn't bartend in Japan. I bartended elsewhere, but yeah, done a bit of that as
Well,
well.
I thought it was Japan, but maybe I'm wrong. Didn't weren't you a bartender and Sylvester Stallone came in?
Oh yeah, nah, that was I wasn't a bartender, I was a host. So my job was really just to welcome people in, talk in English because there was no one that spoke in English really in that restaurant, but it was a restaurant that was it's called Gompachi, and the whole restaurant was modeled from the fighting scene from Kill Bill. There's a fighting scene where they all come down from the top, all the Yakuza, so it was very famous. And yeah, we served I worked up on the top, on the rooftop level with the sushi bar and everything, and that's where Sylvester Stallone came
Yeah.
in. And
Well,
yeah,
these are the stories that I remember that when I'm thinking about like who does Chris Baker was an English bloke that moved to America and was mowing and blowing lawns when he met Diane Baker, who was one of their customers, or the daughter of one of their customers, and they ended up, getting married and everything else. But just that spirit to be able to go to a foreign country to pick up a job, this is who Chris Baker was. This is who you are. When Ed and I were talking about it, you were, we both agreed that you'd be a perfect representative of that. So even though you never met our buddy Chris Baker, the whole point is to keep his spirit alive by finding guys like yourself that represent his spirit. And you definitely do that by being who you are. So thank you for being the perfect representative. After Alan Decker was the first guy, like one of his best buddies in the world. Then Nick the Pond King was the second, who's got a total jovial personality and a funny guy. Then it was last year, another British mate, Dan Upshur, and now we got an Aussie guy, which is really cool. Another Daniel Taylor. So congratulations on being the 2025 Chris Baker Spirit Award winner.
yeah, thanks, man. That's awesome. That's really cool.
You getting ready to go out and build some ponds today, buddy?
Oh, not today. No, I've got a little bit of book work to do, some quotes and catching up on stuff. So I'm home today working on stuff.
It's spring there now, right?
Winter. Yeah, middle of winter.
It's the middle of winter. Okay, so it's the middle of summer here, so that makes sense. Yeah, another couple
Mm.
months. Good.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
Mm.
mate, good catching up with you. Thank you for jumping on a call internationally here. And once again, congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks a lot.